The only way into this rugged backcountry of Alaska is by float plane, and the only maps are the winding rivers below. And here is our last great preserve of caribou, grizzlies, and wolves. And moose can roam as far as they need. Alaska is the showcase for the highest mountains and the largest rivers in North America. Very suddenly, the mountains have hemmed us in on either side. And here and there, thin waterfalls appear and disappear in the fog.
Bottom, huh?
The pilots waste no time unloading the plane. They know this dead calm won't last, and I think they would prefer to leave the lake as soon as possible. We'll be here 3 weeks, so it does require a good bit of gear, like cameras and tripods, battery packs, gasoline, and a Zodiac raft and motor. An Alaskan ranger by the name of Patty Brown paddles up in her kayak. Patty lives in a tiny little cabin about 6 miles down the lake, and her primary job is to keep tab on the few individuals who venture into this vast remote wilderness. Patty's knowledge and experience in this area of Alaska proves to be a great deal of help to us. She gives us a good bit of advice. She says, don't let the porcupines eat your boat, and watch those high winds.
Winds seem to be the bigger deal. It was odd this year. We got heavy rain in late June and through a lot of July and 5 inches or so in August. Way more than we ever get. And last year we just got dumped on the end of August. This year that's been the best weather we've had all summer.
Well, maybe it'll stay that way.
Who knows? Yeah, I think we gave it the office already because we had enough rain to last us. So, yeah.
And then your cabin is clear at the end of the lower lake, right?
So it's about 5.5 miles down on the south shore, so maybe 6 from
all right.
this end.
Okay.
After spending the night in our tent, the next day we are fortunate. We run across an old trapper's cabin way back in the woods. So we just haul all our gear through the woods to the cabin. I have this feeling we're being watched. The little cabin is a solid one, equipped with bear-proof windows. It was built entirely with an axe and wedge, and the cracks are chinked with moss. The floor is laid with split logs, and the old stove is made from an oil drum. The next morning, we looked this country over, and the beauty is breathtaking, wild and remote, just like we expected. A Zodiac raft will provide us with easy access in this valley. That would probably be otherwise impossible by foot. Our 12-foot raft is equipped with a hopefully dependable 10-horse motor. The first couple of days, the weather is calm and beautiful, and the water is an icy turquoise blue. The color is caused by glacial rivers feeding the lake. As we head up the lake, the first 10 minutes out, we spot two handsome caribou bulls, and they don't seem to be too concerned by our presence. There's only one person that lives in this vast remote country, Dick Brennecke. He's 75 years old and fit as a fiddle. In fact, he's never been sick, not even a cold.
Dick, what's this hanging in the tree here?
That's the running gears of Martin. The wolf caught him on the lake and pulled his eye off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Come on, you guys.
He came up here 24 years ago and built this little cabin, and he's been here ever since.
Come on. Come on. Attaboy.
He seems to be a completely contented man, and I don't think he wants for anything more than he already has.
That's my friend. And I don't know how many years them guys been here. One of them especially. Just, they're the Crow family, you know.
Oh, are they?
They lived a long time.
It was back in 1965 when Dick first came to Twin Lakes following an accident that nearly cost him his eyesight while working as a diesel mechanic on Kodiak Island.
I decided that I would quit this racket of pouring Babbitt metal and that sort of thing and working with dirt falling in your eyes from under heavy equipment and that, and I would go to Twin Lakes and build me a cabin and enjoy my eyesight a little bit if I had any left. My logs were well seasoned, and I would say about a third lighter than they was when I stacked them to dry. I worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and in 10 days' time I had the heavy logs up. I think there is a lot of satisfaction in having everything that you made yourself. You know, like even your door hinges and everything, cut her out by hand with the tools you got. I moved in August the 1st. There was still work to be done, but it was livable.
Few of us pass even a day without seeing another person. But to Dick, the isolation would often last 6 weeks or more. We wonder, what would it be like to live so alone?
You work better, boy. Come on. Come on here. Come on. I can't say that I was ever lonely. I was always busy. I always had something going, observations to make, or wood to cut, or letters to write, or something. It seemed that the time was short to get everything done.
The canoe was Dick's only transportation during the summer, providing the wind wasn't blowing. Then he was forced to walk the shoreline. The canoe enabled Dick to travel greater distances and carry heavy loads, which would be much more difficult on foot, for the Alaskan bush can be tough going. In all the years that Dick has traveled Twin Lakes by canoe, he has avoided a tragic mishap by just being cautious.
I've never had any trouble with the canoe on the lake, but if I did, it would probably be the last time, because this water is very cold, and I doubt that if I was 200 yards from shore that I would make it to shore. I find that a person alone is much more cautious than when you have someone with you, because you know that if you mess up, why, that's it.
Always with his camera gear, Dick hiked hundreds of miles in search of wildlife that he would capture on film, using his trusty 16mm Bolex movie camera. The abundance of grizzlies in the surrounding mountains above Dick's cabin were always good subject matter for the camera, and he would often recognize individual animals year after year. During the winter months, it was not uncommon for the temperature to drop to 52 degrees below zero. But this didn't keep Dick inside. He would then resort to snowshoes to cope with the deep snow. Oftentimes, Dick's friends would depend on his handouts to survive the long, cold winter months.
I knew this ermine was in the woodpile, and so I went for a scrap of meat to tack to a wood log there and see if I could get him out for pictures. Put the meat on the wood log and then went for my camera gear, and when I came back, sure enough, he was there. And an ermine, when he gets to taste of blood, he becomes very bold, and it was no problem to get good footage.
winter, frozen beauty at 50 below. Why would Dick stay here? Perhaps curiosity, or maybe just for the silence and solitude.
The ice breakup is a great event in the wilderness because it means the end of a long winter. After about 7 months, you're really happy to see the ice go out. And here you have pretty much all of the game. You have sheep, and you have bear, and caribou, and moose, and many places have more of each, but not all of them. So that makes Twin Lakes a little bit special. In summer, I fished quite a bit. I lived on trout to a great extent for meat and berries. But I didn't kill any big game because for one man it's too much meat. Too much would go to waste.
When Dick was not out filming or fishing for dinner, he kept busy writing, keeping daily journals of everyday life at Twin Lakes. And now, over 30 years later, Dick Prenicky is still here. It's home. It's one man's wilderness. Dick keeps his food high up in this little cache, so the animals won't get to it. His diet consists mostly of simple foods. Fuel, he calls it, like oatmeal mixed with raisins and honey, some meat and sourdough biscuits and gravy, and spuds, and of course fish. And there's always a kettle of beans on the stove. Dick's only neighbors are the animals, and he knows many of them individually. Grizzly bears, moose, and sheep, and even this little duck, a blue-winged teal, who stops over and rests at Dick's Cove on his yearly migration. He says the same little duck has been stopping over for the past few years. Dick's an intelligent, well-read man with so many exciting experiences. And it's not that he doesn't like people. He does. But he just chooses this peaceful solitude. Dick Prenicky is himself an accomplished photographer. Writers have written stories about his lifestyle and experiences, although he's not always in complete agreement with what is written.
You must remember, there's another guy, a writer, involved in that, and sometimes he would change things. He thought it sounded better, and I'd growl about it, but he insisted.
He tells his own story.
You read something I don't recognize. Just because it sounds better to him.
Writers are that way, aren't they?
They are that way. They got to have their own way.
Yeah. Much bigger body, too, aren't they? They're real chunky. They're laying about, only 20 feet apart. So you think they'd let you approach them pretty close, huh?
No, I think they would.
Yeah?
As long as you're below.
Yeah,
Within good range with your rig, anyway.
yeah.
I seen them messing around, and one would stop, and the other would go ahead, and both of them just turn suddenly and run down the mountain, and then just make a right and come together like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. When they came running down the mountain and then turn and then come together, but after they hit, then they was old buddies. And they
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
What about the business?
Held no grudge, huh?
No trouble.
Yeah.
Anytime they fight, they don't hold a grudge. They'll feed together, and while they're fighting some minor ram, he'll be making time with the girls, you know.
Yeah.
We spend each day hiking miles over the soft tundra and through the thick, low brush. And the camera gear does get heavy. Even though we know there are a good number of animals and a variety of wildlife in the area, the thick brush and timber make it easy for them to be elusive. We stop frequently to glass. Now we have surprised a magnificent bull caribou, and he seems reluctant to leave his territory. At this time of year, we don't see large herds of caribou, only lone bulls or maybe small groups of just 2 or 3. Some days we wander as far as maybe 5 miles from the cabin in search of animals. However, the long hikes are getting a little easier with each passing day. But with each passing day, the wind does get a little stronger, and the fall air gets a little cooler. As we near the cabin, the wind is blowing harder now and has stripped most of the leaves from the trees. And the sky is getting a little darker with rain clouds. A chilly rain hammers on the roof, but at least we stay nice and dry. We do feel, though, that valuable time is being wasted, but there's little to do, just sit and wait it out, I guess. Finally, with no prospect of improved weather conditions, we pump up our little stove and cook the grayling we caught.
Grayling looks good, Bob.
The next morning, we're greeted with a sunny day. Cold, but sunny. So we head down to the lake again to see how rough the water is. And sure enough, it's still blowing and still rough. While we're waiting for the lake to possibly calm down for us to cross, our time is well spent fishing for dinner. The fishing is almost always good, and grayling seem to be plentiful in this icy lake, and to us, the best eating. Other than grayling, we sometimes catch lake trout and dolly varden. To our surprise, a sockeye salmon has hit Bobby's spinner, And even though he's exhausted, he's putting up a gallant fight. This 10-pound fish fatigues quickly as a result of his long journey upstream of over 300 miles to reach his final destination.
We got him. We got him. Oh, look at that.
The hooked jaw and dog-like teeth are typical of the male species. And after spawning, the beautiful crimson red color soon fades to white.
Isn't he beautiful? Take two.
The wind is blowing hard this day, and we struggle with the decision to cross. Bad weather conditions have wasted too many days now, so we take the risk of getting ourselves and our equipment wet. Heading into a strong wind is a bit risky, and we realize the boat could actually flip over backwards. But unfortunately, it's the only way to the other side. In our effort to locate moose, we find ourselves crossing rivers and streams frequently. And it does one well to be sure-footed. Trying to find moose in this dense, thick underbrush can be difficult at times. And with limited visibility, we take each step with caution. You never know who you might be sharing the forest with. A sure giveaway is this bull's impressive and enormous white antlers. We've approached within 20 yards now, and we know to keep our distance when he warns us with a deep vocal clucking sound and smacking, salivating lips. We sense the need to take precaution and to not provoke an attack, so we keep our distance and depend on a long lens. The early stages of the breeding season have begun, and the bulls are gathering their harems. During this time, they become possessive and aggressive. Smaller bulls like this one generally keep their distance from the larger, more dominant bulls. However, a small bull can be just as dangerous. A bull's slow and cumbersome appearance is deceiving. With little provocation, they can charge with great speed and agility, and we have learned not to trust them. Hunting with a camera is like hunting with a rifle, as it helps to see the animal before he sees you. To our surprise, a big rock in the distance turns out to be a large grizzly bear. This time of year, the bears spend most of their waking hours bulking up on berries for the long upcoming winter sleep. Although there is a wide variety of berries to choose from in this valley, this bear seems to prefer the alpine blueberry. This mother and these two healthy-looking cubs slurp down ripe berries almost non-stop, sometimes consuming more berries than their digestive system can handle. Oops. This mother takes a break away from the berry picking to see if she can dig out a ground squirrel. The grizzly is built for digging and will dig with endless endurance to catch a squirrel, a good source of protein. I can't help but wonder while watching these bears dig if the energy gained is really worth the energy spent. Lucky for this squirrel, he had a back door. Later that evening on the way back to the cabin, we run head-on into another large bull. He's also irritated with the intrusion. Earlier today, we learned firsthand the habits and intentions of an angry bull moose. And this bull seems to have the same nasty temperament. He warns us to keep our distance by aggressively thrashing the willows with his heavy, sharp antlers. Nearing the rut season, he has a cow with him. They converse back and forth with low grunts, moans, and clucking noises. He moves ever so slowly, closer, closing the distance between himself and us. We now realize we are in a dangerous situation. We are between the bull and his cow. A moment after this, he charges, and we head for the nearest tree. This eagle sees what's going on. I think he's just waiting around to pick up the pieces. Sometimes we eat breakfast for supper, and sometimes we eat supper for breakfast. But it tastes mighty good either way.
It's pretty good, doesn't it? You think it'll rain like this all day?
Oh, I hope so.
The next morning, we sit down by the lake and glass the slopes. The fire feels good in the cool wind. The weather is nasty most of the time. We've been here about 2 weeks now and have had only a few good days. It's either blowing hard or raining or foggy, and the animals don't like this wind any more than we do. We have seen no movement on the far side this day. Bobby's fingers have become infected, and at first we think it might be a bug bite or possibly a poisonous plant. But we later learn the infection is called fish finger, a result of cleaning fish with sharp teeth. After the fog lifts, we spot a group of doll sheep high on the slope across the lake. They appear to be all rams. If the patch holds, we will head up the lake to the base of the mountain and make an attempt to approach the sheep. The hike up the mountain is long and steep, and the equipment is heavy. As we approach the sheep, we stop about every 20 feet so the sheep will feel that we are no threat to them. The view is nothing short of spectacular. High on the slope, we watch a bull caribou browsing. Caribou like foliage of many years' growth, and they travel great distances to find it. A sheep's eyesight is second to none, and these rams have watched our 2-hour approach from the very beginning. And as long as we keep our distance and stay within sight and keep directly below them, they don't seem to be overly concerned. This bachelor group of rams are good buddies now, but as the rut draws near in the next several weeks, they will clash horns violently to prove who is dominant. Rams do not associate with ewes during the summer months. In fact, the ewes and lambs spend their summer on high grassy slopes on the other side of the lake. There is plenty of grass now, But when winter arrives, these sheep will move to lower, wind-blown hillsides where they can find exposed vegetation. A healthy ram can weigh 250 to 300 pounds and usually lives 12 to 13 years. This full curl ram is in his prime, and the dark age rings on his horns indicate he is 8 to 9 years of age. The Dall sheep is the only white wild sheep in the world, and in Alaska their numbers are estimated at roughly 70,000. Surprising a mother bear and her cubs can be hazardous to your health. But lucky for us, she decides it's best to just take her cubs and move on. In the winter, the bears hibernate up in these high mountains. Although it's still only September, it won't be long before their only thoughts of eating turn to searching out a new den site. It's still September, We've been here 3 weeks now. The upper lake and the lower lake are connected by a stream. And because the wind is blowing so hard on the upper lake, we are forced to float our raft downstream to the lower lake, where the water will hopefully be more calm for the plane to pick us up. We give the river a try before we load the raft heavy with gear. Tough old Prenticky has walked about 5 miles through the thick, scratchy brush to meet us at the river. We sit and exchange a few last-minute stories as he prepares himself for the long hike back. Dick says my legs and my canoe provide my transportation. They take me as far as I care to go.
Those are your hip waders, huh?
That's my hip wader.
So long, Dick. We wish you well. It's hard not to worry a little about Dick. He's one man alone in this vast wilderness. But Dick told us this: why worry about something that isn't? Worrying about something that might happen is not a healthy pastime. A man's a fool to live his life under a shadow like that. Maybe that's how an ulcer begins. It's hard to leave this remote wilderness, and we will miss our new friend, Dick Prenticky, and his stories. We promise to keep in touch, and we will surely return someday. It is now the morning of September the 22nd, the designated day we are to be flown out. Conditions are bad. The cold wind is blowing so hard we are almost certain the plane could not fly. But we're packed and prepared for pickup anyway. The rough water will make it difficult for the pilot to land. Another day goes by, September 23rd, and the relentless wind still blows. We sit by the lake just in case he should come. But we have our doubts. We're 3 days overdue now, but this morning we get a break. The wind has died down and the clouds are lifting. We are almost sure a plane will be in today. We spend this morning fishing for breakfast. The fish are hungry today. We catch a grayling with almost every cast. The morning silence is broken by the sound of a plane. It must be our ride out of here. The pilot of the plane informs us the reason for his late arrival was due to unusually high winds, the tail end of a hurricane off the coast of Japan. He also informs us that because of the smaller plane, it will be necessary to fly our heavier gear, such as a raft and fuel, to a hunting camp about an hour's flight downriver. Danny is particular in loading our heavy gear in order to properly balance the plane. When he returns, we load the remaining gear with no room to spare. Even the pontoons have been loaded. Looking down, my mind wanders back. The little log cabin on the river, sitting by the fire on the edge of the lake listening to the loons, and watching the black silhouette of jagged spruce against the Alaskan sky. And I know that we need such silence and solitude.
To order a DVD or video cassette of Silence and Solitude, call this toll-free number or send check or money order to the address listed below.